The BMW 8 Series is a radically styled sports GT introduced in 1989 to replace the iconic E24 6 Series, and yet the 8 Series is a rare missed goal for the Munich car maker, as it failed to live up to the early hype, and nor did it seem to do things that much better than the E24 6 Series that it replaced. However, prices are now on the up, so what are they like to drive today? Well, we thought we'd take this 1998 840 example out on the road to find out.
But first, our friends at Lancaster Insurance are running monthly giveaways. You can win all sorts, from experience days to tools, restaurant vouchers and tech. So click the link below at the end of the video to enter their latest competition.
So the BMW 8 Series, the E31 8 Series, unveiled in 1989 to replace the iconic E24 Shark-Nosed 6 Series. And at that time, BMW was at peak confidence. It could almost just do no wrong. Think of the E33 Series, the E34 5 Series, the E32 7 Series. The 8 Series was meant to be an absolute culmination of all of that confidence, a technological showcase. It was initially launched just as the 850, a 5-litre V12 with 300 horsepower, and that delivered a 0 to 60 time of just under 7 seconds. It had multi-link rear suspension, passive rear wheel steer, ASC plus T traction control, whatever that is, electronic damper control, multiplex wiring, servotronic steering, and it had the first 6-speed manual gearbox available in a production car, a technical tour de force. And of course all that technology was clothed in this dramatic styling. I just love the styling of this car. Sharp and purposeful, bulging with sort of power and intent. I think it looks futuristic and modern. Those lines have aged really well. That dramatic exterior was complemented beautifully by a similarly swooping interior, glorious ergonomics, lovely wraparound dashboard with absolutely archetypal crystal clear gauges. It all just works really beautifully. So all seemed good, right? A stylish coupe with all modern technology, a fantastic engine, replacing a much revered predecessor. What could go wrong? Well, unfortunately, quite a bit. Although it was roughly the same length as the E24 6 Series, it was considerably more cramped. Rear seats really aren't much use for anybody, unfortunately. The boot space is also 100 litres smaller than the 6 Series that it replaced as well, so it somewhat hampered its grand touring pretensions. And while that 850 V12 was a glorious power unit, it's 300 kilos heavier than the 6 Series. That performance was somewhat blunted. In 1992, BMW tried to put that right with the introduction of the 850 CSI with a 5.6 litre V12 engine, 380 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 6 seconds. Around the same time, the 840 V8 model was also introduced, had 286 horsepower, so remember, not far off the original 850 V12, and 295 pounds-feet of torque. Eventually the M70 V12 was updated to the M73 V12 in 1994, this time with 326 horsepower. So the car did steadily evolve and steadily get better, and certainly by the time you get to this vintage, a 1998 one, it's about as good as it's ever going to be. However, the problem is, with launching a car with technology at its peak as it was, there was an awful lot to go wrong as well. And unfortunately, it was an unreliable car. Things can and did go wrong, often with resultingly high repair bills. It was safe to say it probably didn't live up to the glory that all of that styling, all of that technology promised. I think part of the problem was that I seem to remember the preamble, BMW launching its Ferrari chasing coupe, and it really never did live up to that. It seemed to jettison the sports car bit and very much focus on the Grand Tourer bit, because it's very leaden. It feels heavy, that's the problem. The throttle is heavy underfoot. The steering is quite heavy. I mean, I quite like the weightiness, but you're very aware of the car's bulk. It doesn't feel particularly fast. The V8's got a lovely sort of purposeful burble as you accelerate away. Here we go, let's put the foot down. Yes! The ride is actually not too bad. It's firm, but it's not crashy. What you're not getting any sense of here is that this is a sports car, a performance machine. This is a car to get in and do a pan-European continent drive, and it would do that with ease. I love the interior of these things. Lovely sculpted fascia that's angled towards the driver, slanted center console with an array of buttons. It must have looked really futuristic in 1989. It's that feeling of solidity that you really get with the 8 Series. So much better made than the XK8. And yet the XK8 was probably the car you'd prefer to drive every day, but it is still lovely. I'd have an 840 over an 850 any day. The V8 is more than enough for everyday driving, and it's a much easier proposition to maintain. So the 8 Series then was just BMW at its absolute peak confidence. It was daring to be different. A bit like Porsche was with the 928, I suppose. It dared to take a stride out and make a radical departure. I love the confidence of bringing out a V12 powered sports coupe. And while it therefore may have missed its early brief of being a more sporting car, it was still a good car. It still is a good car. And for those in the know, it's become something of a cult classic in its own right. And I think that's why prices are starting to go up. It may have been flawed, but it was a flawed genius, and I love cars like that. One of those bucket list cars for me. A BMW 8 Series would be me all day long.
This video is proudly sponsored by Lancaster Insurance. Give them a call on 01480 400 889 for an insurance quote on your classic car. And don't forget to click the link below to enter their latest competition.